Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Gary Huang. Welcome back to the Seven Figure Seller Summit. Today we have a live Q&A, and today's theme is all about the mindset, the fundamentals of a seven-figure seller and how they're building their businesses. I'm super excited to have Brandon Young and Chris Rawlings with us. How's it going, gentlemen?
Doing great.
Going
Excellent.
great, Gary.
Excellent. I'm super excited. I mean, like you guys really just brought down the house coming in with day one. Chris was really dropping knowledge bombs, talking about product launches in 2022, because as everybody know, things are changing on Amazon with the TOS changes. So that was a super awesome presentation. And then now it's everyone's chance to ask questions. So I'm super excited to have Chris back. And then Brandon also is bringing his A game, talking about product selection, deep keyword research, sharing a little bit behind the curtain, the stuff that he's doing, running his 8-figure Amazon business. So super excited to have Brandon on. So welcome, guys. So because we are live, I think people are still coming in. If you can see and hear us, could you please type your name and where you're joining us from in the chat? All right. So again, welcome back. We just lost Brandon. Hopefully he can come back in a minute. So I feel like to kick things off, guys, 2022 is really the wild west of e-commerce. There's a lot of changes. Perfect Storm is also continuing to hit us with the supply chain. There's increasing PPC costs and increasing cost of goods, Amazon fees. So to kick things off, with in 2022, with all these changes we're seeing, I'm curious, what are the key changes that sellers really need to pay attention to right now to be successful this year? What do you think, Chris? We'll start with you.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing to me is the fact that it's so obvious that Amazon is cracking down on compliance with sellers, like thousands of sellers getting TOS violation warnings, rebate systems getting their APIs pulled. Um, it's just like the next wave of Amazon cracking down on compliance. Same exact thing that happened with the Google SEO platform, the Google SEO ecosystem, like a decade ago, where yeah, you could get like a bunch of outsourced like Philippine teams to write you dozens of blog posts every week and get ranked for a acai berry weight loss, search term. And that game worked for a while until the next update, and then people figured out how to game that until the next update, and now we're at a point in the Google ecosystem where it just really can't be gamed anymore. It's just all about really quality content, and we're now entering into that same phase in the Amazon ecosystem where it's just about quality products, quality content that really converts, and legitimate traffic that you send to that converting content. So in one sense, it's harder. And in another sense, it's actually like a breath of fresh air for sellers who can figure out how to do it compliantly.
100%, 100%. And Brandon, what are you seeing? What are some of the key changes that sellers need to pay attention to right now?
I thought Chris nailed it. I think that we've all been in different circles and different masterminds, different groups, and we've all interacted with a lot of sellers that are doing really well, making a lot of money, 7-figure, 8-figure sellers who were always just trying to figure out what's the newest hack, what's the latest hack. And yeah, I think Chris said it great, which is it requires you to understand the algorithm, to do it the right way moving forward, to do the right research, to base your decisions based on real data, and try to have a long-term vision for building a real brand versus just trying to hack some products up for some profitability.
Right. And I feel that, the competition has stepped up as well, right? I mean, not only are we seeing, like one man and one woman shows, but, the aggregators are getting, fast and furious, right? Like the big companies like Thrasio and the others. And meanwhile, quick shout out to Thrasio. Thanks, guys, for being our platinum sponsor. And I feel Thrasio is one of the most experienced aggregators. So I highly recommend that if you're thinking about exit, you can get a free evaluation with Thrasio. They're offering this opportunity for everyone attending Seven Figure Seller Summit. So I'd like to thank Thrasio, and you can get your free business valuation at the link in the chat, guys. So wanted to give Thrasio a quick shout out. So as people are coming in, I really want to make this interactive, guys. So I see there's people coming in, and for the people that are in the chat, I mean, this is a super golden opportunity to ask questions to two of the top minds in the whole Amazon and e-commerce game. Chris Rawlings, I mean, like, he's like a mad scientist, right? I mean, he's overseen like 2,000 product launches. He comes from like scientific, like physics background. So he's looking at this from like, all these different angles. And Brandon Young, I mean, he's like the award-winning consultant, and, everybody knows him, and, he's running Cellular Systems, and he has a exciting new tool that, he's going to talk a little bit more about as well. So I think that, a lot of times it's not just, watching a presentation, but actually interacting. And, maybe you're stuck somewhere, right? So this could be your golden chance to, talk to someone that's been there, that's done that. Maybe they can unlock that hurdle so they can really help put you over the top, guys. So if you guys have any questions, I highly recommend that you ask in the chat. And then meanwhile, I'd like to welcome one of our other guest speakers, Hervé, coming in from China, from Dongguan. So good morning, Hervé. How are you, sir?
Morning. I'm doing great. Sorry for being late. Usually not the French side I have, but sorry for being late. I'm doing great.
No, it's great. Good. I'm super excited to have you on. Hervé gave a really in-depth session talking about sourcing. He's based in China. He's been there for over 10 years. He's boots on the ground. So he's really seeing everything that's happening and everything that's going on, because nobody can go to China, not even myself. I'm locked out. I'm here in Japan. So Hervé gave a really great masterclass on product development, the tools that you need to scale quickly in product development. So if you guys have any sourcing questions, love to offer this opportunity for you guys to chat with Hervé. And Hervé, we are with Chris Rawlings and Brandon Young, and we are live here. So super excited to have everybody here. Amen. So excellent. So to kick things off, okay, we have some questions in the chat. Let's go with Chinedu, who asks, Chris and Brandon, if you both were just starting Amazon and did not know what to do, what would be the first 3 things you would do? So Chris, would you like to take a shot at this first, and then after that, Brandon?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, one thing that I've noticed with sellers that start out, sometimes they tend to get sold the dream in somewhat an unrealistic way, which is really not fair. Which is why I love you so much, Gary, because I feel like you really do attract people who kind of shoot straight. But the reality is you do need to invest capital for this business to be successful these days. You can't start out with like $500. You can't even start out with really $1,000 or a couple $1,000. Like you need like a chunk of capital to really be able to survive. And I see people trying to get into this business with like a $500 investment, and just, they don't have the capital to reorder inventory, let alone spend on PPC or anything else for that matter. So make sure you have some capital to invest that you're comfortable losing. Like if you're taking a second mortgage out on your house to take a bet on this, that's a big risk, and just be aware of that. The other thing I'd say is, if you're just starting out, that's actually great, because you have the opportunity to start with really good fundamentals, which means primarily product design. And that is going to carry you through a huge portion of your journey, because so much of everything that we talk about at events like this and in these communities is rank hacks or PPC hacks or whatever it is, conversion hacks, external traffic hacks. Like it's all useless if you don't have really good product design, and that includes packaging design and brand design, messaging, and all of that stuff. I'm wrapping into that. If you start with a really good fundamental, and you've done your research ahead of time, your competitive research, your research sourcing, and research with factories, everything that the speakers talk about on the 7-Figure Seller Summit, like you could find multiple talks on all of these topics, and you do that well from the get-go, you'll be starting with a good foundation, and you have a lot better chance to succeed. And then the very third and last final thing I'll say is that, since I started out this with a dose of realism, maybe even pessimism, I'll end it on like an optimistic note. And that is, since these TOS changes, not changes, but TOS enforcement at the end of last year, the reality is, I think the other speakers, here in this call will agree with this. It's actually, I wouldn't say easier, but it's more straightforward to launch a product now, actually. Launching with PPC using Amazon's own traffic system, as long as you set it up with the proper protocol and the proper structure, launching works now. And you can rank with a new product for, mid-volume keywords. If you have a bigger budget, high-volume keywords, but mid-volume, high-relevance keywords, you can rank a new product. And yeah, we see it every single week in Sophie Society coming through and Titan coming through. It's working now almost better than ever, I think, because sellers can't or won't use, rebates or more black hat strategies anymore. So that's the good part about launching now.
Excellent. Talking about budget, Chris, what would you recommend, someone like Chiney do if he's starting out? What sort of capital budget would you recommend?
Kind of like on one side of the extreme, if you're going to launch an omega-3 supplement, standard omega-3 supplement, you're going to need like a $300,000 budget to launch that product and actually rank for your high volume keywords there. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're launching, plant potters for a very specific type of cactus, then you don't need as big of a budget because it's not going to take you as long to rank for the low volume, high relevance keywords for that niche of a product. So the more niche you go, the lower budget you can start with. But I'll give you a general range, and this is just my opinion. I'm sure you guys have different benchmarks that you could put out there. But I think that somewhere around like a 20 to 30K but budget in the very beginning will take you through the launch phase and into a product that's actually profiting you. If you're really squeezing it and you're going niche, you could bring that down to 10K. Maybe you can even bring it underneath that. It's not impossible, but to be healthy and give yourself a good buffer, that would be my thoughts on that from what I've seen.
Excellent. Brandon, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Chris is right. Like the days of starting the business with a few $1,000s are pretty much going to be really gone. You have a lot of that was fueled by the opening up of the markets into a lot of other international places like Pakistan. You have a lot of people coming in with small amounts of budget. So those cheaper products that don't cost a lot to land have become more commoditized. And it's just going to become more and more saturated, very difficult to compete and win if everyone's looking at the same research, the same keywords, and the product isn't differentiated enough. I wouldn't even want to get started in the business with less than $5,000 to $10,000 towards your product. The more you have, the more types of products you are open to being able to source and launch, which is, it just provides so much more of a window and advantage over other sellers. Plus, it allows you to scale faster. If you're starting with $10,000, you're not going to be able to create a 7-figure business inside of 12 months. And if you factor in the fact that you're only going to probably reorder half of the products that you launch, 75% of the time you're going to be profitable, 20% of the time you're not even going to be profitable. You've got to factor a lot of these things in when you're first starting out and realize it's a numbers game. So first thing I would do is probably learn about keywords, learn about competitor analysis, and understand how to make decisions based on data. I have a free class that dives really deep into all of those subjects. And then I would find a tribe, whether it's a community that is very expensive or whether it's one that's a little bit cheaper or free, but find people who are going through the same journey as you that you can lean on and find, and lean on each other. Because that's going to be where you can get some feedback and learn some lessons that maybe somebody else already learned the hard way. And you can seek out a couple mentors and try to find all the content they put out, and at least allow you to make the decision whether this business is right for you. It's really hard. Don't start this business if you're not expecting to spend a lot of time in it. And you really have to understand that there are multiple college degrees built into this business. It is sourcing, logistics, statistics, analysis, marketing, content and design. And you know, it's a hard business, and these are steep learning curves. You can walk them and learn them one process at a time, but you know, my goal is to scare you away from the business, because if you learn about it and you watch like a 4-hour masterclass with me looking at data and you get excited about it, then it's the right business for you. But if you get scared by that, you're probably lighting your money on fire and shouldn't start the business.
Yeah, that's excellent real world perspective coming from Brandon. I love what you said. It takes multiple college degrees to run an Amazon business. I couldn't agree more, right? You know, starting from all of the statistics and content design to the marketing to the PPC to the sourcing. I mean, it's like you guys have to have like a really diverse skill set. So talking about sourcing, I like to ask Hervé in China, you know, talking about, you know, we touched upon product design, you know, as Chris mentioned earlier, that could carry you through a huge portion on your journey in package design. What are you seeing, you know, successful sellers doing? Or even if, you know, let's turn the question to you, Hervé, you know, like Chinedu asked, if you were starting an Amazon business, what would be the first 3 things that you would do? I mean, especially from the product design side.
I think Chris and Brandon sum up it very, very well. First, I really think that the budget is important. As Chris said, few years before, some people could really do that like side of their job with like few $100. I really think like it's not possible now. And you know, an average starting point on the spectrum that with a low cost product, no matter how good you are at sourcing, but it's really at least a 10K budget, I think, to try the adventure. And the second thing is like be prepared. And I think like Brandon said it perfectly. It's like you probably fail and you will have so much learning curve, but you know, you need to experience that. And you know, if I had to start, don't be a loner. Try to find, as he said, a community. I think that's one of the biggest assets for this business, is like you have so many different communities. And actually a lot of people want to try on their own, not because of ego, but sometimes because they are shy or something else. But honestly, in this business, there is nothing better to actually share. And I think like what we're doing right now is like, we're so eager to share tips. So I really think like leverage that. And about product, I would say that because of the fear, a lot of people doesn't take the right decision at the right moment. And I think like being more data driven helps a lot. So I've seen a lot of people who are burning a little bit their budget, and they don't have enough, you know, budget for the prototyping. So I'm not even mentioning PPC. Prototyping was a big part of my session, but they are not in the right condition to take the right decision for their product, for their sourcing. So you know, you are going to, if you are getting to this business and sacrificing what Brandon said about like different bachelor level, you know, so sometimes it's in the technical point, sometimes it's on the marketing. If at one point you are sacrificing something, you know, it collapses quickly, and actually you're burning everything and ended up frustrated. So budget, preparation, and be in the best condition to take the right decision for the product, and don't fall too much in love in details, I would say, on the product. Even though I do product design, I would say like taking the most pragmatic decision.
Excellent. And I just appreciate you know, everybody's sharing from the product design side. So we're coming at this from all different angles. And for people joining us that didn't catch Chris, Brandon, and Hervé's session, just a friendly reminder, the sessions are live for 24 hours. So you can catch Chris's session talking about 2022 Amazon launch strategy that works without rebates and certified buy. Brandon's session, product keyword research and product selection. I mean, he goes really deep, you know, like really deep and over the shoulder walkthrough of, you know, keyword research, product selection, live case study. Highly recommend you guys check that out. And also Hervé gave training on product development as well, like the tools that he uses. So just wanted to quickly remind everyone and refresh everyone's memory. So great stuff, guys. Let's keep going. And Chinedu says, thank you to both. And next question is from David. what's your take on running ads on Facebook, Instagram to drive traffic to your Amazon listings? What are the metrics you see on the traffic from these platforms versus traffic from PPC? What do you guys think?
I don't have experience running traffic from Instagram directly to Amazon listings, except in the case of like really steep promotions. But when it comes to Facebook, I'd say this is my experience. Again, you guys, other speakers here might have different opinion, but I see the most success with this, and in the communities I run in, the many chat flows are by far the best way to leverage Facebook ads, because you collect the information of buyers that come into the flow. If you try to just run ads directly to a product just to drive sales, it's just not very likely to be profitable. I'm sure there are cases where there are. That's not something I focus on in my brands in Sophie, or that we focus on in my community in Titan. So maybe some sellers could do that, but what I would suggest is utilize Facebook to build an audience. It's more about that. If you could build an audience using Facebook, and a great tool for that is a ManyChat flow that collects information from your ideal customer demographic, especially if you could start with a lookalike audience if you already have some audience somewhere on email or somewhere else. Then you can run flows, build up that audience, use it for future product launches. It becomes very valuable to get product feedback, to get initial sales, to get pretty much everything, can come from an audience that you build on your own. And Facebook can be a really great tool for that. But I wouldn't just pure play try to drive traffic directly from Facebook to an Amazon listing.
Excellent. And especially with Facebook ads, ever since the iOS updates and the privacy settings, it's a lot harder to track accurately using Facebook ads than before. So that's something else to consider. You may not be able to measure your ROI as accurately as before, at least in my experience. Any other thoughts from Brandon about this?
Yeah, so outside traffic can be super effective for ranking. You get more credit. So the way the algorithm works is that conversion rate and click-through rate really matter when it's inside of Amazon and traffic originates from within Amazon. Once you're driving that outside traffic, they kind of ignore the bad and only consider the good. So it's a net positive. And they give you a multiplier effect depending on the source of the traffic. So this was being abused very heavily a few months back by a lot of sellers that kind of figured it out. They were manipulating Google links and stuff like that. It's a very short-term strategy. They kind of put an end to it. They also can track it, and they start to throttle your listing if you're doing anything to manipulate your links or trying to get credit for specific keywords. So you have to be very careful when you're driving that outside traffic. Specifically from Instagram and Messenger, if you use a direct link, they put a token on the link, and if they see that token too many times, they'll ding you for it, and you could get your account in trouble, and you'll get your listing suppressed, kind of. So be very careful with outside traffic. I recommend using Amazon approved links. So maybe something, the attribution link that they give you to the storefront, or if you're going to work with influencers, make sure that you're using a link that maybe their link that they get, so that they can get their commission, or affiliate link so that they can get theirs, and then you don't really get in trouble using that. Working with affiliates can be great. I think it's the future, but it's also tough to gauge as far as managing inventory. It can be a huge win and then die away. You could run out of stock very quickly and stock out, and then you run into issues there too. So outside traffic is a whole mess of new problems, but it can be a very effective one. We're mostly launching with PPC at this point. If you're doing the right keyword research, if you're optimizing your listing, and you know how to go really wide with keywords and really turn on all the campaigns, PPC is enough at this point.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's the common thread I'm seeing this year, Brandon and Chris. I mean, launching with PPC, because ever since Amazon is banning the rebates, search, find, buy, etc., everyone seems to be focusing on that. And with with OW's question about outside traffic, I just like to preview tomorrow's sessions because we do have several speakers with trainings on outside traffic. So this will be tomorrow, March 1st. Lazar from Sellers Alley is going to give a training on TikTok, how to use TikTok to rank and sell on Amazon. And also we have Rob Stanley from Getita. He's going to teach you how to leverage YouTube to grow your Amazon business. And Rob is a 7-figure seller. I mean, before he joined Getita, he actually had many years experience selling his own products in the iPhone accessories niche, which was super competitive. And then he shows how he was able to create YouTube videos to drive traffic to his listings, and they're evergreen. You know, if you can get it working, I mean, YouTube links are great. So just wanted to preview that for tomorrow if you guys want to check that out. All right, so hope that helps. And just like to take a quick moment. I mean, talking about the community aspect, guys, I think, you know, one of my main goals with the summit is to, you know, help sellers all over the world. So I'm glad that we have a global audience, and, you know, we have like 3 super talented, you know, entrepreneurs here live on the call. So why not invite, if you guys have a friend that's selling in e-com or Amazon, or if you know someone that's interested, why not invite them to join live? Because you can kind of get the mindset. You know, sometimes it's almost the intangibles, not exactly like everything, like what they're saying, but like they're thinking. So I think that could be very valuable with that. So if you like to share, I feel like, you know, sharing is caring. And if you like to share this out to anyone else, this is a golden time for everyone. All right. So that's my quick plug. Next question is about inventory planning and management. What are your 3 starter tips or formulas for inventory planning and management? I've struggled a lot with it. I'm curious, Hervé, I mean, from the manufacturing side, do you have any tips for sellers like OW about inventory management?
Yeah, I think there is there is different level, but I would say like from you know, from really the root cause, it really depends on how you think about purchasing, about placing your purchase order. You know, I've seen so many sellers, they wanted to give a big PO. I mean, depending on their scale, but you know, they really didn't understand how to break down the supply chain at a certain level. And actually, if you place a wrong PO, I mean, everything is like escalating quickly in terms of like, it's such a mess to track it. So I would say like first, like taking an extra step back, you know, you can use like some planning tool or just an Excel sheet, but just make sure about how you place the PO and all the POs, you know. And because, for example, let's say you have like 5,000 products to make, and with the lead time and with the buffer that you add, think about, you might want to split it and to be a little bit more careful in terms of like, will it make more sense to, because otherwise you will have one big PO and you will ship one part, and after you will say, okay, I still have this remaining that I'm including on the other one. Try to be clean at the earliest stage, and it helps the manufacturer. And then so for 3 starter tips, so that's one starter tip, so I'm not going to talk about too much advanced. And I would say the POs and take extra buffer on everything. Means like when a factory gives you a lead time, you know, you have advanced technique to push the factory really hard to work around the clock on a weekend with extra people. But really, if you start working with your product, always get yourself buffer. Otherwise, you know, you will again take a lot of wrong decision, and mess is like is adding mess. And the third tips I would say is I had it on the tip of my tongue, but
No worries, we can come back to you. Those are 2 really good tips. Yeah. I like what you said about the buffer time, right? I mean, you know, the supplier, whether they're in China, they're in India, you know, they may promise you 30 days, but, you know, real world, whatever, you know, something wrong will happen, right? Murphy's Law. So you got to not only, you know, plan for that, monitor it, but you got to buffer, you know, if something happens, you know, like what would you buffer? Like, what's a good rule of thumb, guys? What would you suggest to, you know, sellers like OW out there?
if you're at a starting level, like, you double it in terms of
Double
like,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
We're
Is this
ordering.
amplified? Yeah.
We're
Go
ordering
ahead.
as much as 3 months of inventory for our initial order. So here's kind of what we do. We base our quantity on the keyword research. So we'll look at what percentage of search volume. So we'll create a master keyword list like I showed in the presentation, and I'll understand all the keywords that are driving sales for a market. And then I'll look at the competitors that are ranked for anywhere from 40 to 70% of those keywords. That's where I think I can rank within the first 30 days. I think I can, and I've done it many, many times. So I feel like if I have an effective launch, if I've got a product that's optimized, that's well designed, I have good content, and I'm running effective marketing and going through that feedback loop and improving and optimizing, then I should be ranked well for 40 to 70% of that search volume. So if I take an average of those units that those competitors are selling, then I think that I'll sell that monthly as well. And then I'll factor in the lead time from the factory, shipping from the factory to the port to LA to sit in the water outside of LA, the time that it sits there, the time that it gets unloaded, the time it's sitting there waiting to get on a train or go to my 3PL, the time it's going to take for my 3PL to receive it, the time it's going to take Amazon to receive it once it's shipped back in, the time it's going to take for Amazon to distribute it, right, across all of their warehouses. Yeah, you're looking at upwards of 3+ months if you order and you have a buffer. So if those average sellers are doing 1,000 units a month, I'll probably order, and my lead time at the factory is 2 weeks, I'll probably order upwards of 3,000 units to make sure that I don't run out of stock. And here's the main reason that we order more than less. We always used to try to cut it close, because when you go to school for business and you take your MBA, they teach you about just-in-time inventory. And then you want to feel like you're being efficient with your capital, because turnover on capital and the number of times you can turn your capital over is how you grow it the fastest and the best way to grow it. What you don't learn is that when you run out of stock and you stock out, you're losing a lot more money than if you didn't stock out. So being out of stock for 2 weeks will take you upwards of 3 months to recover from, as far as lost earnings and lost profit. So it's compounded. And so what we've learned, and not only that, if you stock out for any significant period of time, you could kill the momentum of the product and you could kill the keyword ranks. So given that we're very good at keyword research and competitor analysis and product selection based on data, and that we're right a lot more than we're wrong, we will order a lot more inventory, because when we're right, we make a lot more money than when we're wrong, as much as we lose a little bit a few times when we're wrong. And so we want to make sure that we don't stock out and that we can really double down and push harder when we've got a real winner.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think the number one cardinal sin of sellers is stocking out, because it's amplified, it's compounded, right? I mean, not only do you lose out on those sales, but you lose out on your rank, and you may never get that rank back. If you're stocked out for a long time. And I've made this mistake before as well. So I think that's great advice with the buffer. All right, so let's move on. And Chris and Brandon and Hervé, if you guys have any questions to each other, feel free to weigh in, because I want to make this like a mastermind. It's not just like a one-way communication with the audience, because I'm sure that you guys, your brains are stimulating, through the conversation as well. All right, so what have you said? Thanks, guys. Samuel says, thanks for sharing the valuable content. Samuel had a question about the shipping costs. With the high shipping costs and delays, are you still bringing full containers? What's the average price you're paying? Anyone want to take a shot at this?
Yeah. So we actually split between, we're only doing containers. Containers are the cheapest. We're trying to go to the West Coast. Oversized, we send to the Midwest. We go through Chicago. We have a warehouse in Chicago we use called HubDub. And then for the West Coast, we've got 3 different 3PLs that we work with. We've also got one in Texas that we've sent a couple containers to. And then we mostly use our warehouse in Miami for recalls and seasonal products. But we've gone through Amazon's shipping logistics program. The problem is that you can't get a guaranteed schedule. So you'll book like 4 containers or 8 containers, but it might be 120 days before you can get those containers. And so obviously that doesn't work for you most of the time. You have to have timeliness. And it's a real shame because their rates are like a third. They're charging like, you know, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a container, and everyone else is well above 20. So we're paying over $20,000 a container. We'll bring in close to 100 containers of goods this year. So it's a lot of money in shipping that we're spending.
Brandon, talking about those different ports, like if you're coming in through the Midwest rather than Port of LA, we all know LA is really backlogged. What types of like lead times are you using? Is it faster to go into the Midwest or other ports?
Yeah, the funny thing is that it's about the same amount of time because you don't have the delay, but you have the rail that you have to deal with. So usually you land in Vancouver and then you take a rail from Vancouver to Chicago. It costs a little bit more because of that extra leg. But when you're trucking goods to the Midwest, it's definitely much cheaper from Chicago than to truck it all the way across the country. So really, you have to be strategic as to where you're placing your inventory or how you're getting your inventory to go to certain warehouses. And oversized inventory is almost always Midwest or East Coast.
Yeah. So you do need a college degree in supply chain as well. I mean, you're just figuring out all these things, and they don't teach you this in school because, you know, Brandon mentioned just-in-time inventory, right? And, you know, big companies have been doing this for probably decades, but then the pandemic hit and it turned the whole supply chain upside down. You can't do that anymore, right? So immediately what the professors were teaching us back in the day, you know, things are changing. That's why, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, what we're doing here at the summit, it's almost like the Amazon Seller University, right? You're seeing what real sellers like Chris, like Brandon, and experts, supply chain like Hervé are doing. So you guys can take that and implement that right away. So I'm just super excited about this. Let's keep going, guys. I don't want to rant. And Hervé, do you have any tips? I mean, from the manufacturing side, what can sellers do to maybe bring down their costs or maybe speed things up to get those products out of China?
I would say, like, if it's kind of a tip, like try to have excellent relationship with your manufacturers, because the time that, you know, with the shipping that went crazy and probably going to stay a little bit like that, you might want to be able to pull the string of can I let my goods there, my semi-finished product. I mean, there is recently like it's really helpful when a supplier is willing, to really like get all your products and give you that flexibility using the factory, the time for you to get the logistic master degree and to find the best shipping method for you.
Yeah, excellent. All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on. We have a question about bid strategy during launch. For your 5 primary keywords, do you go with the recommended Amazon bid, 5% more, 80% of suggested range, top of search? Let's ask Chris. Chris, you gave a session on launch strategy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, for the first 5 primary keywords, you're gonna try to get top of search for those during the launch period, because the whole purpose is to get ranked for them. So you want to get the traffic. When you're first launching and you don't have that many reviews, it's going to be a pretty low conversion rate. You got to do everything you can to up that conversion rate, get a clickable coupon on there, get a strike through price if you possibly can. Obviously have the best listing content, best primary image. We usually go with a fixed bid strategy, a little above the Amazon suggested bid, just so that you can really have tight control over your placements. And this is what we do, is just not even mess with product placement ads in the very beginning, because you're just solely focused on getting that search rank and that search volume for your 5 primary keywords, and then also your long tail relevant keywords. If you did the keyword research really good ahead of time, then all you need to focus on is ranking for those keywords. So it's all about driving that search traffic for those so that you can rank for them. Not really trying to mess with, in that early period, the whole array of different Amazon advertising options, because not all of it affects your rank in the same way. So everything you do should be focused on just simply driving search sales velocity for ranking.
Excellent. And if you guys haven't already checked out Chris's session earlier today, definitely check it out. He goes really deep into details of launch strategy. Brandon, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, we take a little bit of a different approach. We do focus on velocity. We think that that's a really big part of it. We go a lot wider on keywords, so we're starting with a lot more focus because it's aggregated, right? So if you're only targeting those 5 primary keywords, sometimes you don't have enough clicks and conversions and sales and revenue coming in through just those 5. And so what you can do is you can get micro amounts of credit, partial amounts of credit, like I explained in my session, from related keywords based on how they're related. So a phrase match keyword would still give you about 50% credit towards that other hero keyword that you wanted to target. So it's still worth targeting that other phrase match keyword and those other longer tail keywords. So we try to go super wide with really relevant keywords to begin with, establish some kind of relevancy and indexing with Amazon. And then as soon as we know that Amazon knows what we're selling, and they should based on how we wrote it and what we target, then we go much wider and harder on broad and phrase match and other placements. We definitely are trying to understand based on the search volume, the broad search volume, how we build our listing, how the way you build your listing impacts the ability to rank. Because Amazon will give you different levels of relevancy based on how you wrote your listing too. And then we also try to understand how much velocity we need to send through a broad search term to rank well for it across the spectrum, and try to get that through PPC. And for the most part, you can for most products if you go wide enough. But if you do need that additional boost, then that outside marketing, outside traffic that's where you start to need that.
Excellent. I love how, different sellers have different perspectives of what's working for them. So that's the beauty of what we're doing, right? We're looking at this from different angles. And so thanks guys for sharing on that.
Yeah, I think the key is, I think we actually align on this, is just not let Amazon spend all of your money doing the research for you. Like when I first started selling on Amazon in 2015, it was like, I think only a couple months or a year into Amazon even launching their advertising division. And I remember people would just set up auto campaigns and just leave them on with really high bids because it was like everything would convert. And it was like we didn't even look at the campaigns. We would just leave them on. Now, if you do that, you're going to lose your shirt. If you just set an auto campaign right in the beginning of a launch and let Amazon spend all your money, you just lost all of that money you set aside for your launch. So the keyword research ahead of time, starting with PPC, is really key, and being real careful with that. Auto campaign should only be a source of new keywords, and that's after you've already done research through broad and phrase campaigns to bring out more exact search terms. And really keep it reined in, that auto campaign. You're not trying to really get profitable sales or even use it to drive ranking or anything else, except being kind of like a mine for you to mine out of the ground new keywords to start broad and phrase campaigns with, and then move them to exact.
Excellent. All right, let's keep going. We have several more questions. Next question. Apart from experience, what sources would you recommend so we can improve our skills in logistics and supply chain for our Amazon products? Hervé, what do you suggest?
I think, and I remember the third point about like inventory management on the manufacturing side. Learn about the process that is involved in your product. And I think YouTube is really great. You have so much nice video about manufacturing, about how the things are made, and I think like it helps so much for the supply chain management, for example, to understand how silicone are made, how PU is made, what this type of sewing, and to understand that it helps you really to to take the right decision after, in terms of like lead time, in terms of even cost, because there is a lot of things that can be made with 2-3 different process actually. And so I would say like YouTube actually is excellent to learn about process. That would be my recall.
Great. And I can also share a book recommendation. I know books are kind of old school, but one of my personal favorites talking about China sourcing is Poorly Made in China. Poorly Made in China is by an American entrepreneur, like Old China Hand, been in China probably like 20 plus years, and a lot of war stories, working with Chinese suppliers. I mean, some of it may be outdated because it was probably written like a decade ago, I mean, pre-pandemic, but a lot of the core things, like some of the, tricks of the trades and stuff like that. If you're interested, that's something that I would recommend. Any other thoughts, guys? Recommendations to improve, to level up our logistics and supply chain?
Well, first of all, like logistics providers themselves, like some of them actually specialize in Amazon. Like Flexport, for example, has like a whole Amazon division, and there are people at some of these forwarders that actually know about Amazon, the Amazon game in particular. So if you have a good forwarder, you can actually learn from them. But I would also agree that if you're on a budget, YouTube is a great resource. There's a lot of trash on there, of course, but that's how I started learning, was just doing research on my own. And if you can discern, the truth and separate the wheat from the chaff, you can really get a lot of knowledge out of just YouTube. It's a really great resource. And if you're really on a budget, I would recommend doing that and just using your own, discernment to try to sift out, what's actually good knowledge. And then if you do have a budget, joining a community is really valuable. When I first started, I joined a community. It was called the Zon Squad. And it was really helped me get started. I remember within the first couple months of me joining, I got a tip about logistics that tens of thousands in my first brand, and it paid for more than the first year's worth of membership. And I realized, how powerful community is. And since then, I've been in different tech communities like 500 Startups and SOSV, and learned things about the tech world that I never could have learned without being in that community. Now I'm a mentor in the Titan Network, which I view to be one of the greatest communities in this space. And if you have the budget to join a community, I think it's a really accelerated way, and it's a way to find information that's actually trusted and pre-vetted. But yeah, if you don't, YouTube is actually a great resource.
Excellent. Brandon, I'm curious, how did you pick up all of your degrees to run your Amazon business? How did you learn all of this?
The hard way.
Yeah.
No, I was lucky. I married a Chinese woman, and so that helped us with the logistics, the sourcing, the supply chain side of it. And then
was she experienced in this? I mean, you can't like stereotype all Chinese people are experts in sourcing, right? I mean, I assume she had some background in this, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. We
Really?
had to learn the hard way. We
Okay.
were leaning on service providers in China. We have family there. We would go visit. It makes it a little bit different when you're speaking the language and you're messaging on WeChat, and they don't know if you're there in China, so they don't want to screw you because they don't know if you could just show up with a Didi ride in a couple minutes, right? So they probably
Didi's like the Uber of China. Yeah.
Yeah, they treat you a little differently, but. Yeah, I think we just had to learn the hard way, right? Like I think like Chris was saying, we listened to podcasts that are full of terrible information. We would pull out some information that we felt was right and ignored the stuff we felt was wrong. And we made mistakes, and we learned from the mistakes. The biggest thing about this business is, again, understanding that it's a numbers game. You're going to be bad at it. You're going to make mistakes. But if you can skip the learning curve by joining a community and getting the right knowledge by attending something like this, and then you're going to save yourself a lot of pain. But if you fight through that and you're willing to be tenacious and you're willing to not give up, you have the opportunity to create a very, very big business that you can sell for a lot of money.
Excellent. All right. let's keep going. We have several more questions. Samuel asks, how can you avoid hijackers? Do you use the Transparency Amazon program, or are your products patented? Any thoughts, guys? Chris is having his noodles, so.
So now we
Only got a couple chances to shove
Yeah.
food in my mouth tonight.
Transparency is really tough because it requires a lot of extra money, and then you have to use the barcode, the 2D barcode. I don't think it's necessary for most products. You would really need a product that you're distributing to other distributors through other channels, wholesale, B2B, other large retailers, and you would probably need something to be moving very fast at a very nice profit for you to want to protect it with that program. As far as hijackers go, if you have brand registry, that's often more than enough. You can report them and get them off. We have a strategy where we are super aggressive against hijackers, and they learn not to do it, and they talk amongst themselves, it seems, because the more aggressive and the faster you get them off your listing, then the less you have to deal with them usually. But if they see that you're someone that they can pick on, then they're going to tell their friends, and you're going to get picked on a lot, right? So just be aware of those things. We will often buy out all of the inventory that they're putting for sale, send a cease and desist, open cases, and then we will make sure that if they've actually shipped any inventory, we will return it to the warehouse in an unsellable condition so that they definitely lose money. And we will let them know when we write them that we're going to do this because Amazon allows you to do test purchases to prove that it's a counterfeit item. And so we are going to purchase all 100, all 200, all 1,000 units as test purchases, and they will all be unsellable, and you will lose all of that money. So once you start to show them what you're going to do, they usually go away very quickly.
Yeah, I have the exact same experience. I've had some gangster experiences with hijackers. I'd say, Samuel, it's not so much of a concern. I don't know if you're an existing seller or aspiring seller. It's really not as big a deal now as it used to be just a couple of years ago. Hijackers used to be a massive issue, and this was actually the driving force behind the brand registry program in the first place. As Brandon said, if you have brand registry, it's a lot harder for you to get hijacked in the traditional sense of hijacking, where someone's actually selling on your listing, winning the buy box, undercutting you on price, and selling products that are not yours, claiming to be yours. That's like real hijacking. There are plenty of other ways to rip off and mess with a brand that are not technically hijacking, and those take a little more finesse, but there's a specific protocol that you can run through. And Amazon is actually very responsive to this because of all the negative press that they've gotten about, fake goods and fake reviews and fake everything on their site. So if you follow the protocol, like Brandon said, you make a test purchase, you have to list about 8 things. You have to submit pictures. And if you do all that, then Amazon will take them down. They're actually really good about it. And I've had the same kind of mobster gangster experiences of damaging inventory, shall we say, from hijackers and sending it back. And it does scare them off. I've actually gotten death threats on my Facebook from hijackers who are pissed off at all the money they lost, which was scary the first time it happened, but you stop taking it seriously after a while.
Right. All right. Good stuff, guys. So we only have a few minutes left. I'd like to spend a moment. I just want to thank Chris, Brandon, and Hervé for coming on today. I wanted to highlight some of the bonuses that they're offering everyone at the summit. So, Chris, I know that you have a copywriting guide. Is there a place people can go get that, or where can people go to connect with you to learn more?
Yeah, they can get that guide just because we didn't have time to set up the link in time for this Q&A here, but they can get it just by emailing hello@sophiesociety.com. That'll connect you with me and my team, and we'll send you the guide. The guide is a guide to copywriting on the listing, specifically just the copy, the title, bullet points, the A+ content, copy, and description, focused on emotional storytelling and using hooks like a cause or a founding story or something of the sort to add some emotional connection with the listing. There's plenty of content out there about how to keyword optimize a listing, how to write, sales copy with, calls to action and all of that stuff. This is something a little different than the content you're probably used to about listing copywriting. So I think it'll be pretty interesting to you guys. And I wish I had a link to share directly in this chat right now. This is a little last minute, but if you just email hello@sophiesociety.com, I'll make sure that it gets to you guys, this bonus.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris. I dropped the email in the chat. So if you guys want to get the guide to copywriting, highly recommend you check it out. And Brandon, can you share more about Data Dive and the discount that you offered?
Yeah. So if you guys aren't aware of what Data Dive is, we have a strategy that we developed a few years back of how to aggregate all of the data. Once we really figured out the mistakes we were making or how to choose products, we were really dead set on answering the one question: how are the current sellers getting their sales? And if we could answer that question, then we could game plan and at least know whether we could duplicate that success or even do better. Because then once you put all of those best sellers together into a master keyword list, you end up with basically a full list of keywords that drive sales for a given niche or a product. And then you can see how good of a job the current sellers are doing at ranking for them, or whether they're even optimized or indexed for a lot of those keywords or routes. And it would take a long time to do this sheet manually. We got an automated sheet that would do it, and it was okay. But what we've done with Data Dive is we've created thousands of calculations based on the algorithm and our understanding of the algorithm to make a master keyword list, plus dozens of other sheets that provide a ton of value with PPC and listing writing. And it does all of that in 90 seconds. And for everyone watching, we're going to give you a 2-week free trial to Data Dive to check it out. And then after that 2 weeks, you get $50 off per month because of being a part of the Seller Summit. So instead of $150 a month, it's only $100 a month. It's the fastest way to do product research, validate a product, give a risk assessment of a product, and to understand the opportunity behind a product, how good the competitors are, make a product decision, but then take your existing product and optimize it as well. You can see what holes you have in your indexing, your writing, and in your product. And then you can also then use it, upstream all the keywords, and create hundreds of PPC campaigns with just a couple clicks with using Data Dive as well. So it's super, super powerful. We like to say it's the most powerful software created for Amazon private label sellers. And you get 2 free weeks to play around with it and see whether you like it.
Excellent. So I'm gonna trial this out myself. I see that this can save sellers a lot of time because keyword research can be very time consuming. So in Brandon's session earlier today, if you haven't seen it, literally it took him like 90 seconds to generate the whole keyword list that usually it takes like dozens of hours to generate. So highly recommend you guys check that out. www.datadive.tools, and make sure you use the code 7FSS to get your 2 free weeks. All right. And then Chris is having a little friend joining him for his dinner. And Hervé, for people that want Hervé, for people that want to connect and learn more, what is the best way to connect? And I believe you have a bonus for everyone watching as well. Is that right?
Yeah, of course. I just wanted to say, like, I have a few of my customers are now using a Data Dive. They absolutely love it. So I do recommend that too, because they are all saying like, oh, it's so fast. It's a great tool. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. On our end, so we are acting as product manager, physical ones in China. So we set a team physically there, and we cover all the different aspects. And our business model different to the, I would say, the classic sourcing agent or trading. We don't take any cut on product. We just value transparency. So we share with you supplier cost, breakdown of the BOM and the COGS on our side, So we are running a monthly fee, and for all the one who got like the full access here, we give a 50% discount on the first month, so you can check if it's worth it if you feel it's time to scale, to have more people really dedicated to your product. There is two main type of project that we do, is like pure product development. And in pure product development, I also put product improvement inside, because you restart kind of a new loop of like solving solution, implementing things. And we have another one, which is like the quick wins. I will say, right after you finish with data design, you want to see if it's worth it. If what are the chances to get this product at the cost that you want. I mean, we do a very pre-sourcing also on a list of product to kill it or not. And I think it's back to one of the initial question of what would be the tip for starters, is like, again, don't fall too much in love with an idea and kill it faster. So what we do here as product manager in China, specialize with Amazon sellers, is like we really understand what are the sourcing, I would say, demand on the early stage, at the early stage of the project, and later down the road, it can be quality, it can be implementation of a new functionality or improvement for you to stay competitive. So that's pretty much what we cover, and it's a monthly fees. So to reach me, just go on the website, inangroup.com, and maybe I'll do a banner with the 7 Summit, and easier to book a calendar call with me, 1 hour call, and we discuss.
Excellent. I think that would be super valuable for many sellers. I mean, being able to get some help from Hervé. So definitely check him out at e9group.com, and he's offering a 1 hour consultation. I can't believe he's been so generous with his time. So make sure you book a call in his calendar before it gets filled up, guys. All right.
That was a nugget right there. Kill the loser products fast. Hope you guys caught that. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see sellers make. That's a great piece of advice right there.
100%. All right, guys. So we're over time. I know everyone's busy, got to run. I just wanted to say one more thing. We do have a optional all access pass for people that, let's say, if you don't have time to watch all the sessions before the 24 hours, there's a way that you can get unlocked all access to all the sessions. So you can watch them at your convenience, and also you can get the transcripts as well. I know some people are more visual people, so you can scan through them. And then we also have extra bonuses. Brandon's offering his really deep his masterclass in PPC. I mean, you can get it for $20. Usually it costs $300. Hervé is offering 50% off of his services. It could be like thousands of dollars saved. So if you're interested, highly recommend you check it out. And that's at 7figuresellersummit.com/order. So totally optional, but for some people, time is money, right? So if you want to get some more value out of this, highly recommend you check that out. All right. So thank you again, everybody. This was great. We didn't have time to get to all of the questions. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. We're going to talk about marketing, PPC, and branding. So we have a full day agenda tomorrow. We're going to kick things off at 9 a.m. Sharon Evans, the PPC launch with buying intent in mind. We're going to go through TikTok, ways to boost up your conversions, Amazon DSP to take your business to the next level. And also we've highlighted the sessions at the different levels. So I know some of you guys are more advanced, maybe you're at the 7-figure level. So, a session like DSP, Amazon, that could be for you. And we also have sessions for more intermediate sellers, leveraging YouTube to grow your business, storytelling tips with brand owners, and advanced brand ad strategies. That's with Mansoor from Incrementum, and that's Liron's agency. All right. One other quick note is we have live sessions tomorrow as well. Today we had a little technical difficulty with the coffee breakout session in Zoom. I do apologize for that, but we're going to make things right. So thanks everybody for your patience. Tomorrow we will have the live coffee breakout session at 1 p.m. So I'm calling it the 5 days of nuggets. Speakers are going to come and they're going to drop nuggets, and then you're going to be able to network with other sellers like live real time over Zoom. So if you're interested, please check that out. It's for free. All you got to do is make sure you get your free pass. And then we also have tomorrow night's live Q&A at the same time, 7 p.m. Marketing, branding, PPC. All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much,
guys.
Brandon.
Thank you
so
Gary.
much, Hervé.
See you guys.
Yes, we'll see you guys in the next session.
Thank you,
we'll
Gary.
see everyone
Thanks
tomorrow.
for hosting, man.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye, guys.